Hello, I'm David Matthews with Spark of Life, where our heartbeat is to walk beside those who are devastated by loss, who are grieving deeply the loss of a loved one through death or some other loss like non death losses. So far, since 2009, when we began Spark of Life, we've worked with thousands and thousands of grievers. Many people call me the grief guy, which is not really what you want to be known for. But what an honor it's been to work with those people who are devastated. I know some of you who are watching this right now, you're wondering, how can you help a friend who is grieving? Maybe you're dealing with grief and loss yourself and you just don't know where to go for help. And so at Spark of Life, we conduct grief recovery retreats both in person and online. We also have grief courses, we have grief coaching, we have material to help people with grief, and our website's sparkoflife.org. And we'd like for you to just consider this topic today. How do you get over the loss of a loved one? It's pretty general. I don't even like the title. And the reason I don't like the title is because you can never get over the loss of the dearest on earth to you. If you define getting over the way most people do, the thousands of grievers that we've worked with at Spark of Life, we've conducted 108 three-day retreats all around this country in 13 different states, from Connecticut all the way to California, from Alaska down to Southeast Texas. We've conducted over 100 retreats serving 1,500 grievers who have chosen to spend 3.5 days with us. These grievers have come from 46 states in the United States. They've also come from Canada, Australia, Nigeria. They've come from England. They've come from all over Europe. They've come from Mexico, Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, just in so many different places all over the world. And they have taught us so much. My wife and I experienced devastating loss, and it prompted us to get involved in people's lives who have experienced grief. And since 2009, we've been privileged to do this daily, working with people who are grieving. And what the grievers have taught us, when you ask this question, how can I get over the loss of the dearest on earth to me? How can I get over the loss of a child, of a spouse, of a pet? How can I do that? And so many people have these deep losses. And so I want to share with you 3 points today as we really get into this. How do you get over? Number one, I don't like the title, How to Get Over It, because we don't believe you can get over it. When somebody comes up to me after I've experienced loss, and maybe it's a minor loss, as looking back in life, maybe it's a minor loss, but my heart's devastated. And so that's not very minor, is it? And somebody comes to me and they say, David, you need to get over it. In one of our very first retreats, we had a couple who had lost a 25-year-old son, and on a major holiday, on Christmas Day, their son all of a sudden died of a heart attack. He was 25 years old, had not been ill at all. And of course, their Christmas from then on is just really a hard holiday to live through. And 1 year after their son died on that Christmas Day, one of the mother, who is of course still grieving a year later, was called by her best friend, and the best friend said to her, "It's been a year, you need to get over it." How do you think that mother responded to that friend who said you need to get over it? Well, obviously their friendship really ended that day. And that's another loss piled upon the big major loss. You see, grievers have taught us, and I felt it too, you just don't get over things. Getting over implies that your life can get back to being the same. Getting over implies that you can live in such a way as that death of that dearest on earth to you it doesn't impact me anymore. It will forever impact you. So the first thing I want to share this morning with you, or this afternoon, whenever you're watching this, is you can't just get over the death of the dearest on earth to you or some other loved one that is just, it just changes your whole life, but you can't get through it. You can live forward. At Spark of Life, our motto that we've shared with thousands upon thousands of people in so many different venues, from grief recovery retreats to online grief recovery retreats to grief recovery courses to grief coaching and working with thousands of people down through the years, people can get through it, not over it, through it with the pain. That hole in my heart when I experienced devastating loss just won't go away but I can live forward with hope again, with peace, with joy. And if you say you can't do that, I get it, because right now many of you feel like you feel so hopeless that you do not think you can ever have a happy life again. At Spark of Life, we believe in something. We believe that there is always, always, always hope. Hope to live forward with joy again. Hope to have a good life. Hope to be able to love again and to be able to have important relationships again. And if you're a God person, hope to even not be angry at God anymore, because I've been angry at God. How about you? And so if you are a God person, you might have felt faithless. You might have felt like your faith is gone because why didn't God save my loved one? Why did God let me down? Why didn't God answer my prayers? So at Spark of Life, we believe there's always hope because, for one thing, we've experienced that. For another thing, all the grievers who have worked with us over the years, they've taught us this. We have 3-4 couples that work with us very closely out in the field, as it were, helping us do retreats, doing grief coaching. All 4 of these couples that I'm thinking of have had horrific losses. One couple in particular I'll share with you today, they lost twins, adult twins in their early 20s on I believe it was a motorcycle accident. A year later, they lost a 3rd child to suicide because that child could not cope with the deaths of his siblings. They lost 3 children. They were devastated. Obviously, they are still grieving. Their life will never be the same again. But though their life has never been the same and will never be the same, and they'll never get over it, they have gotten through it with the pain, carrying that pain with them, but having hope as they have grown through their grief to get up in the morning and, as I like to say, wash their face and get about living with hope and confidence and loving the people in their lives and helping others who need help. They help us do Spark of Life retreats. They lost 3 children. So when somebody says there's no hope, I respectfully disagree. There is hope, but you certainly can feel hopeless. And so that's the first thing we want to share in this particular video is there's always hope. And though you can get over it, you cannot get over it. You can work through it and have a happy life again. The second thing we want to share with you is that you don't need to be fixed. Grievers need to grieve. Dr. Earl Groman, a Jewish rabbi, has done a lot of work with grievers, and I love some of his quotes, but he says, grief is not a disease. It's not something to be avoided. It's as natural as breathing. Grief is normal and natural. Robert Manning has written a lot of stuff on grief as well, and he says the same thing. Grief does not mean you have an absence of faith, even though you might feel faithless, and you might think God has let you down, and you might have given up on the concept of God, and that's your right. But many grievers we know who have gone through that battle with God or with feeling hopeless have come out, and they're living forward today with hope and purpose. But you know what they had to do first? They had to give themselves permission to grieve and to realize they don't need fixing. At our Spark of Life retreats, on Thursday night, we all meet together for dinner. We stay at fabulous places. We get people away from the humdrum of everyday living, and we have 3.5 days with the most wonderful people in the world. We've done 108 3.5-day retreats. And the first night, we start off by saying, first of all, the leaders here at Spark of Life Retreats, and we do this on our online courses as well, we're not here to fix you. And there's 2 reasons maybe 3, that we're not here to fix you. Number 1, I can't even fix myself. How do I think I can fix you? Number 2, you're not broken. Your heart's broken, but you don't need fixing. The only cure for grief, according to Dr. Groman, is to grieve. Grief is the price we pay for love. And so that first point is that we're not here to fix you. And in all the Spark of Life videos we do, and all the videos that are online and on YouTube, and all our courses and all the work we do over the phone with people and everything we do, we have one basic philosophy. We are not here to fix anybody, because we don't believe you need fixing. We think you need to be accepted as you are. We think you need to be loved. We think you need to maybe be helped, or you wouldn't be on this video. There's nothing wrong with receiving help from others who have been through similar things. So we're here to help and walk beside those who are grieving, not to fix you. And the reason we think that's important is sometimes people feel so broken because their hearts are broken. But as the Grief Recovery Institute in their book, the handbook on grief recovery, the Grief Recovery Institute states, grievers don't have broken brains, they have broken hearts. I love that statement. You have a broken heart, but not a broken brain. And so you don't need to be fixed. So what do you need to do? Give yourself permission to grieve. And don't let anybody tell you need to stop grieving. You don't need to stop grieving. You need to grieve. I wish I could take away your hurt. I wish I had the magic wand or the power to take away your pain. We see people on Thursday nights at our retreats, and we pour out our lost stories that night. And sometimes I feel so hopeless, but then I remember what happens in every single retreat, every single course that people take through Spark of Life. We see hope return, because when people say, you know what, I am not broken over here that needs to be fixed. I'm not somebody's project. I have the right to grieve, and it's okay for me to grieve, and there is not something wrong with me. I have a broken heart, not a broken brain. The third thing I want to share today, I want to encourage you to go to sparkoflife.org, but the third thing is permission to recover. Sometimes we encounter people so many times, they're so devastated, and when you hear their lost story, and if I knew your lost story, I would understand why you're so devastated. But here's the deal. When I give myself permission to grieve, almost in the same breath, I am really giving myself permission to have a healthy recovery. No, life will never be the same again, but life can still be really good. I can enrich the other important relationships in life that I have. And so when we talk about giving ourselves permission to grieve, we're also talking right behind that, give yourself permission to live a rich and fulfilled life again. We'll teach you that at Spark of Life. We'll share with you inspiring stories. We'll share with you methods that have absolute power to help you get up off that deck. A boxing illustration, you're on the deck, you're on the canvas, and the referee's counting to 10, and you're at 9.5, and we're going to teach you how you can get up. And with your pain, live forward with hope and with purpose, with meaning again in life, and enriching those other relationships that might have been hurt through your grief. And maybe there's hope out there. We know there's hope. Living forward with hope. So many grievers have taught us. We have seen hope return to thousands of people. And it's not that we're so great. We're not. We don't have all the answers, but we do have this. We have hope. And we're here to teach you and to share with you how you can have hope again to live forward. At sparkoflife.org, there are resources available. There are phone numbers to call. There's an online grief course one-on-one with 3 coaching sessions. There's virtual retreats that we're having starting this next year in 2021. And of course, we have our in-person retreats that's going to begin again in April of 2021. We are here to walk beside those who are grieving. If you like this video and you like our other videos, if you want to help us financially, just go to sparkoflife.org. But that's not the main thing we want from you. That's really not what we want to help you if you need help with your grief and with your loss. At Spark of Life, there is always, always hope. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like what you see, and there's more videos online. There's more YouTube videos at Spark of Life. We're here to walk beside you. There's always hope at Spark of Life.